When I was 18 months old, my parents were married, and my dad adopted me. Deadbeat apparently adopted his wife's daughter after getting married a few years prior, and he passed away early this year. When the widow learned about me, she decided that I would take on the role of big brother for her daughter, and pretend that my absentee father was actually my father. She started contacting me on Facebook after going through the entire procedure to find me. She discovered another social media site which I also barred her from using after I blocked her there. Next, since most of my siblings are minors, she attempted to get my mother to speak with me and my younger siblings. My sibling had to close their art page after discovering that she was attempting to access the content there. Yes, they are insignificant. I am not interested in meeting this mother or child at all. A child who lost the only father they know makes me sad. I would be devastated if I lost my dad because I was selected and adopted by him. There is no need for me to be in contact with this youngster, but this mother will not stop telling me that we should be friends with her child. In the end, I unblocked the widow of my deadbeat. I replied with a message threatening to meet with legal counsel and have a cease and desist issued to her if she didn't stop, and that if she didn't leave me alone, I would take things further. In response, she said that considering their recent tragedy, I ought to show some sympathy for her daughter, and that it is inappropriate to threaten her with legal action. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. You owe neither this mother nor this child anything because you are not biologically connected. I believe this woman is acting for an as-yet unknown reason. Who makes the decision that their child must be in a relationship with a stranger? Verify again that your unresponsive father did indeed lawfully wed this woman and adopt her daughter. If he didn't, his estate may automatically name you as the next of kin. She would want you emotionally attached to the child so she could guilt you into accepting less than your fair part, since at the absolute least, you undoubtedly have a legitimate claim to some of it. It was exactly what I was thinking. Perhaps you should have a lawyer examine the father's probate will, among other things. Perhaps the father there felt guilty and left his child in the will, which could cause problems because of the adoption and recent marriage. Still, depending on the place of execution, wills may take precedence over anything else. That individual has been gone for 20 years, OP. It was his life, not yours, to do with it what he did in later years. You are not required to take any action for another child he had. This woman is tormenting you and your family by clinging to anything and acting really spooky about it. She requires assistance. You made the correct decision, and you should definitely issue a cease and desist if she persists. Update. Her motivation has been on my mind as well, but I'm not sure what that would be. I can't think of anything else but the possibility, a very big possibility, that some member of the deadbeat's family felt awful about something and included me in their will or something similar, and she wants it for her kid. Even yet, I really doubt it because I don't understand why they would. I don't even know these folks. I've already made arrangements to visit a lawyer anytime I want. I'll get in touch with her again and arrange for the letter to be mailed the next time one of us hears from her. My parents even proposed to cover the expense. As a female teenager, I have an autistic teenage sibling. We're in the same grade even though he's a year older due to being held back. I felt like a nobody since I was a young child, that my parents simply had me so my brother could have a friend. To be clear, my parents don't abuse or neglect me, but they do want me to center my entire existence around my brother. We had to do everything together when I was younger, so they always made me do what my brother wanted. We had to practice karate together when he wanted to learn it and I wanted to learn the piano. I could only go on play dates with my buddies if he could. As I became older, I stopped going places because I didn't want to take my brother with me. When I was younger, my parents would essentially just compel the other parents to take him. Even worse, we relocated when we were in the 6th grade, and because my brother was always with me, it was nearly hard for me to establish new friends. The fact that my brother was always clinging to me and that 7th grade was conducted virtually made middle school even worse. When we got to high school in the 8th grade, I just stopped giving a damn about what my parents thought and did what I wanted. My primary act of resistance was becoming a member of numerous clubs and leadership. I became acquainted with several people and began spending time with them. My parents made it quite apparent that they disapproved of what I was doing, but they also said they wouldn't lock me up. I would love my brother without him, but growing up having to spend my entire childhood with him has caused me to harbor strong animosity towards him. He spends almost all of his time sitting in his room because he has no pals. Every time I take him to an after-school activity or go out with my friends, he lashes out in a fit. I'm sorry for him, but there's nothing I can do to stop being his unwanted and continuous companion. Every time my parents try to make me feel bad about enjoying my life, they always take his side. Our most recent argument concerned returning home. I'm thrilled to be a princess because I was sick last year and was unable to attend. My brother is really upset and wants me to stay home because he isn't going. He asked a female to go with him, but she turned him down. He chose not to attend the picnic that was held today to begin off homecoming week. However, he didn't want me to go to homecoming. So when I returned from it, he threw a massive fit and was still crying hours later. I told my parents that I didn't care if my brother didn't like it, and that he couldn't control my entire life when they asked if I could simply stay home. They said that his lack of friends and poor grades are negatively affecting his mental health, and that it isn't helping that I enjoy myself and do well in school. I assured them that I would attend homecoming regardless of their feelings towards me, and that his mental health was not my concern. My brother hasn't come out to eat supper and is still sobbing in his room. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. Your parents' belief that staying at home is the best course of action isn't helping either of you or your brother. Your brother needs to understand that he is not the center of the universe. Your parents won't be here forever, so he needs to be equipped to live on his own or in a group home. Your description doesn't seem to indicate that it's so bad that he can't function. It surprises me that your parents aren't encouraging him to be more independent. He requires assistance with his mental health, but they must obtain it and provide him with assistance. You do not parent him. Yes, it's absurd to expect her to just put her life on hold in order to protect her brother. What about OP's mental state too? If she gave up her life because her brother and parents wanted her to, wouldn't that hurt hers? If you claim that your parents have not mistreated or neglected you, you are mistaken. Without a doubt, this is harmful behavior. Family counseling is necessary for all of you. It is your parents' duty to support your brother in adjusting to life's challenges without putting you at risk. You are not your brother's emotional support system. You are a self-sufficient individual. You are worthy of a life and hobbies of your own. In passing, I can only hope that my kids' teenage rebellions in the future will take the form of involvement in extracurricular activities and leadership programs. A mother can only dream of such rebellions, really. Please don't stop doing that. It will benefit you greatly. Sincerely, I hope they ultimately realize what they've done to you when you're not in contact with them for a few years. Develop, be liberated, content, and enjoy life. Jen, my 24-year-old best friend, has been dating Alexandra, my 28-year-old girlfriend, for about 6 months. Jen has been requesting that my spouse, James, and I have dinner at Alex's place. She hasn't given up on this dinner idea and wants her and I to get along better. It took us some time to adjust because we had a kid, but we eventually accepted. Alexandra is not like the rest of us. She is conceited, knows her way around art, hails from a wealthy family, etc. But I don't really care because she makes Jen so happy. It still occasionally reveals that her upbringing was extremely different. Alexandra had a large home. James and I were examining paintings, sculptures, and other art. I inquired about Alexandra's painting because I wanted to be cordial. She continued by describing the painting's creator, its meaning, how she acquired it, etc. When James asked her how much it cost, she estimated that it was close to $140,000. It's enough money to buy a house, so my eyes about fell out of my head. Alexandra was unimpressed with my statement that, "Holy heck, you paid that much for this thing?" She claimed that art truly had no set price and other such things. During dinner, I made another one of these remarks. It's heavier, uncomfortable, and they cost God knows what. Alexandra obviously took offense at this remark as well, as I saw her slightly squeeze Jen's hand, but thankfully she remained silent. Jen told me after dinner that those remarks had humiliated her. It was her desire that we strengthen our bond with Alexandra, not the other way around. She is still not happy with me. Am I the foolish one? Edit. Jen is also far more financially comfortable, but what surprised me was that, in contrast to her girlfriend, she spends money far more sensibly. It's you who is the fool. You admit that she was raised in a wealthy family. After your husband asked you an impolite inquiry regarding the cost of a piece, You responded as you did. Together, you two were a complete pair of idiots as guests. Well done for standing by your friend. What really irks me is the comment about the cutlery. You could argue that the painting was an honest-to-goodness response to being surprised, but it's absurd to sit down and berate your host's cutlery. You don't enter people's houses and disparage the possessions they own. If you do it twice, it comes across as impolite. The first time, it might have been an error due to your surprise. Individuals spend their money in different ways and with varying quantities. That's the nature of life. Although Alexandra has been gracious enough to invite you to her home, you come across as more conceited than she actually is. You criticize her and gently, or not so gently, shame her for the way she spends her money there. You did catch that as well? Alexandra never came out as conceited. OP was projecting from the first words, and I knew it. You are just plain disrespectful, lady. You have a savage appearance. Do you also find out how much someone weighs or makes? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, is a lesson that your parents may have imparted to you? Really, not even basic etiquette or home training. FL is exactly the appropriate term to use. That's what you did to them, so the next time they come by, I hope they question whether your couches came from a flea market and why they didn't like your Dollar General silverware. A daughter from a prior relationship belongs to my spouse. She is still a small child for background. When it came to co-parenting their daughter, my husband and his ex-girlfriend had a well-oiled machine before we were married. I've stated it all along. I wouldn't date a man who has kids. I haven't had kids yet because I didn't want the extra responsibility, but to be very honest, their co-parenting arrangement gave me the peace of mind I needed to feel comfortable enough to start seeing him seriously. I adore my spouse and his daughter, but I'm slowly growing tired of her mother. Before I was in the scene, they had divided all of the cost for their daughter equally. Other than the occasional sporadic eccentric charge that my spouse had to pay for in full, there were no issues. Nothing significant once more. Everything began in the summer. The ex-girlfriend of my spouse desired to take a 2-week vacation abroad. She asked if my husband could cover all of their daughter's expenses. He initially said he would, but then realized she had been pulling this kind of a ruse for several months, and now she couldn't afford to cover her share of their daughter's bills. Then, as they have been doing for years, he told her that he would cover half of the cost. Though I doubt she was really pleased with that, they had a great trip in the summer and everything was going great until it was time for school. She informed them that she would no longer be able to cover their daughter's half of the tuition as she has been doing, in addition to her share of the costs of the household for the house they share. It basically implies that he will be expected to cover the void. My spouse suggested that we wait to conceive a family since he would be too financially strained as a result of everything that is going on. We've been discussing having a baby for the past few months, and we're going to give it some serious thought. To be honest, I'm upset that his ex-wife can't support the family, therefore we have to temporarily suspend our plans. Am I the idiot for informing him that, in addition to his ex-girlfriend needing to get over her problems and resume making the kind of financial contributions she has been making, he needs to set clear boundaries and assume sole responsibility for his daughter? Not the fool. Suddenly, she is unable to pay for nursery costs immediately following a 2-week overseas trip? Your ex-girlfriend has made the decision to try and extract as much money as possible from you. They require a legal agreement regarding child rearing and cost sharing. The child may attend public school if the mother cannot afford the school where the youngster has been attending. It is not his place to pay for her vacations with her mother. She can choose to leave the child at home with him while she travels. This is about getting a legal agreement and holding her to it. Not about drawing boundaries. She is unable to pay for half of the house, sell it, and find another somewhere to live. She probably believes her new spouse will assist with paying for her child's expenses going forward. My main concern with this whole situation is why in the world would he pay for a 2-week trip abroad that he won't be taking? It is imperative that he obtains a court order specifying the precise amount he must pay for all purchases. Mom has to take care of her own money. OP, your spouse is being exploited, and she's pressuring him to give everything he has. She is intentionally doing this. This relationship needs to be seriously reconsidered. He would always prioritize his ex over you, so you'll never get to have the child you desire. He's not the right person for you to have children with, so maybe it's time to move on and find someone else. He does not have to support his ex, but it is not immoral for him to desire to provide for his child. You should move on if he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life with you, after perhaps a trial separation to see how he wants to continue. Spend no more than 5 years in hopes of realizing your dreams. In November, my wife Jane, a 41-year-old man, will also be 40. She needed new headphones, so a few years back for her birthday, I got her a pair of AirPod Pros. I know she would use them because I had a set and she frequently took them. She took wonderful care of them and loved them, but ever since then, hers have begun to malfunction, act strange, and drain battery life rapidly. I am aware of her frustration. I've had mine for a few years, so they're obviously not fresh new, but they also don't have similar problems. With my job, I'm able to receive a new pair at no cost. Well, I could use a new pair, but why not take advantage of this? Plus, her birthday is coming up, so I'm going to gift her my old set. To be clear, I'm not going to give her a pair of used headphones alone. She'll adore the other 3 or 4 gifts I have. That being said, I'm concerned that she would perceive my giving her my old pair as a hand-me-down, or as me treating myself to a luxury rather than her. I wouldn't be shocked because I could be a little resentful if someone bought a new UI for themselves and gave me the old one as a gift. I don't want to miss the chance to receive a complimentary pair of shoes. I want a new pair for myself, but I also don't want to throw away my present pair. I know that seems selfish, not purchasing a replacement pair and discarding it, so I guess my question is, if I kept the new pair for myself and handed my wife my current worn pair, would that make me the idiot? It's you who is the fool? Do you know that rather than giving her your old pair, you may give her your brand new ones? I have no idea how the logic works. It's her 40th birthday. Simply get her a wonderful present and don't make used AirPods any part of it. If you're passing along your old ones, it's not a birthday present, it's, "Hey, I got new AirPods, enjoy my old ones." Yes, this is really unusual. Why hadn't he thought to give the wife the free ones first? This is so strange, man. If you really, really want the new pair, then get her new ones and preserve your old ones as spares that you may both claim if the new ones start to malfunction. If you weren't giving them as a present, then taking the new ones yourself and giving her your hand-me-downs would be acceptable. It is cheesy to do it as a gift.